prefer March, and the reason for it is that the spring sports doesn't actually kick off until after, which I actually thought was interesting because I thought it would have been in the other category. And there are other teachers that are not affected and have expressed that they're fine with the way it is right now. With that said, and talking to a few of our administrators, roughly 2/3 of the state school districts right now have dropped the February vacation. Right? So that's what will be interesting. This is where I don't want to do knee-jerk reaction, but if that continues to hold or continues to trend and gain momentum, then really we're only looking at, throughout the state, more like having one vacation week after the winter break and before summer. So in my mind, when you look at the facts and the fact that there are long weekends in January, February, April, and May, but not March, where March is in the middle, and if you're going to target and help kids, you kind of want to bring it to the middle. It makes sense that, you know, if this trend continues, that states, districts within the state will eventually start to gravitate towards March. You know? Now, I understand people want to disagree with that, but if you see that as the trend, I would see that it would make sense, maybe not this year, maybe it takes another year or two, but that kind of go that way. You know, with that said, when we agreed on this last year, we said that we would give it a couple of years to look at. I'm big on not doing knee-jerk reactions. You know, I recognize school districts have tried to move April to March recently, and they failed and went back. But I would also say that we need to do we need to get our facts down better. You know, I can poke holes at surveys that we've seen, but the bottom line is I think we could have done and should have done a better job in putting out a more realistic survey that was unbiased and focused properly on target groups, which in my mind are the teachers and faculty members and staff, students and parents. So I'm going to vote that we keep it as is and that we do a better job over the next year in getting that information, getting our facts straight, and making a proper decision. I'm also open to if you start seeing February stock coming back, then maybe we need to take a better look at that next year because it may make sense to do so at that time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Benson.
I have to say this because I hate to put anyone on the spot at the table, but it is my understanding from the questions that I have asked that the trend is not moving to other districts moving to March, and I just feel like Mr. Bento and the other school committee members should know that if that's a consideration in your vote.
Go ahead.
Just real quickly, I did state that up front, that the trend is they don't want to go from April to March. I already said that. What I'm saying, though, is in the big picture, when you start looking at the greater group, if indeed we drop February and you're going to see more schools drop February altogether, and you only have one vacation day week, does it make sense to wait January, February, March, then April to get it, or gravitate to March? And I'm just saying that if we drop February, if most of the schools do it, it makes sense to gravitate to March eventually. That's all I'm saying. But things can change within a year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologize ahead of time, but this is going to be more consciousness streaming than logical discourse. I can have two pieces of paper. You know, everyone knows, I say this, and everybody's tired of hearing that now, but I'm a process guy. I firmly believe if you have a good process, you get a good result. And even if I don't agree with the answer, even if I voted one way and I wound up being in the minority, I can live with that. Because the process was solid, it was sound, and I can get behind that, and I can go for it, you know? But I'm really frustrated on a couple of things here. The first is, I ask myself a very basic question: what is the role of surveys? You know, I'm not saying surveys are good, surveys are bad, but what is the proper role and place of a survey as part of, not the only source of, but part of the information that we gather in order to make a good, solid, sound decision. And I'm left puzzled by that to this very moment, I really am, only because I read the survey that went out from the administration, and come to find out that, you know, it was roughly split, you know, between March and April. It favored the April by a little bit, but not astronomically so. We're saying we've got a real problem with the COVID way. But what I found really fascinating was that there was more support in that survey for starting school after Labor Day. It was almost half the people. So I'm going to say to myself, well, where's the hand-wringing over this? Where's the motion for this? Where's the support for, hey, wait a minute. The survey says we want to start school after Labor Day. I haven't heard anybody talking about that. But if surveys has such an important place in our process, shouldn't that be a motion? And if it is a motion, we vote on that, well, I say, well, wait a minute, all over again, because if you change to start school after Labor Day, you're now putting the calendar into June by 3 days. I don't know what the public thinks about that. But we're now put out another survey to say, wait a minute, if you get your way here, are you in favor of extending school by 3 days in June? I don't have that answer unless I produce another survey. So where did the survey start? Where do they end? Where's the proper place for them? Do they take on a life of their own? I don't have answer to that. It leaves me very frustrated as someone who wants to make a solid decision based on a solid process. So I'm still frustrated there. I'm concerned a couple of things here. That surveys can give those who participate in the survey a false sense of ownership. To say, okay, you know, the survey was done, the survey says this, so you obviously should do this. And if we don't, well, wait a minute, the survey said that. So it can give a false sense of ownership. And one thing that really bothers me also is that the survey can also be a be-all to end-all. You know, the survey now becomes the decision. The survey becomes the committee. The survey becomes the committee that already voted. And the only choice I have left is to affirm a survey, rather than be a leader in a representative public and make an educated decision and lead the public. Now it's the survey leading the public, and I'm just, okay, the survey says that, so I guess I'll go along. So I'm frustrated, I really am. Again, I apologize for the conscience streaming. You can get off the surveys a bit, and why are we doing this? I look at this district as leaders, you know, and I think of that, I think in so many ways, but there was a commercial years ago, these triplets sitting at a kitchen table, and they had a bowl of cereal in front of them, and nobody wanted to eat it. He says, I'm not going to eat it, you eat it. I'm not going to eat it, you eat it. Let's give it to Mike. He'll try anything, okay? In my estimation, this district is Mikey. Okay? Put something unique in front of me, and I'm perfectly willing to put the spoon in and grab a mouthful and see if I like it. And what has happened in the past is we've done that. And we've proven ourselves leaders. And we've literally had people come from other parts of the country to see what we're doing because they're not doing it in other parts of the country. And they say, look, Mikey tried it, Mikey likes it, Mikey's eating it. I'm going to bring that to my district because I think we can do that. Let's go with leadership. Let's go be an innovator. Okay, that's not, you know, following somebody else. Again, I was walking down the hall one day during the school, and there was one administrator who walking along says to me with pride, he says, "This is Bristol Law. We're different. We're different for a reason. We innovate. Okay, and we're willing to put ourselves out there and try something. And yes, I do believe you said that these tried this for 2 years, not one. 3/4 of the way through trying something, I don't think is adequate. And trying something new, yeah, it makes people uncomfortable. Yes, there are people who aren't going to like it. Yes, there are people who it's not going to work for them. But I need more information to change my mind, quite frankly. This came before us last month, and it was in this form, March vacation. Okay, and I was sitting here, and I was poised to vote for it. It really was. I didn't have a problem with it. I really didn't. Then it was tabled. It's over here. Okay, Robert's rules is tabled. I I can't vote for it, it's tabled. And by the way, just so everyone knows, the reason I chose to table it was because in my estimation, the meeting at that time was very confused. That's why I voted to table it. The meeting was confused, we're better off, let's table this stuff, step back, get a little more logical here, folks, and come back into this with a little more sane sort of meeting. That's why I voted to table. Now we're back here at another meeting where I think it's a little more logical, and now this here, visual time, comes back in front of me, the same calendar that I had no problem with last month. Why do I have a problem with it now? I don't. I don't have any compelling reason other than surveys and opinion why it should change. I'm willing to give this another year. And if I'm proven wrong, you know what, I'll be the first person to say, this committee goes, I've stood up at that podium and humiliated myself, one way, saying, you know, President, made a mistake. I'm perfectly willing to do this. And I'm also perfectly willing to live with a decision that if it doesn't go, you know, quote unquote my way, I'm willing to live with it because the unity of this district is really very important. And moving this forward is very important. And it goes beyond this vote, and it goes beyond this calendar. But I guess it's a very long way of saying, I didn't have a problem with it last month, I still don't have a problem with it this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Dell.
Mr. Chair.
Adam,
Yeah, I think I've made myself very clear, and I think I've made myself very clear, and I think Mr. O'Dell just made it even clearer. I didn't have a problem with it last month. I didn't have a problem with it last year, and I don't have a problem with it tonight, and I will be voting for the March vacation.
So we're clear. I will let everyone have another shot if they would like it, but not to go back and forth, banter between members. You have something else you want to say? Anyone else have a comment? No? I'm going to make a couple because I've listened to and read a lot of things over the course of time on this issue. And I will tell you that I did have something I want to say, and I'm going to get to it, but I received a very unique email today, and I didn't ask for a reply, but I replied to it anyway, and I'm going to just give you a piece of it, because it started, I'm a teacher in another district with multiple children in the local schools. I hope that tonight you all consider the information provided. I also hope that you make a decision that is best for children. I do know that most parents have an opinion as to what they like better. I also have an opinion. However, I do not believe that our opinions should factor into the decision. My views are that you are all elected in order to make the hard decisions that are the best for the educational community, even if it is a decision that is not what most parents like. It's a very unique email being sent to me, and I felt compelled to reply in that fashion that it was a unique email. My comments, so that everyone knows where I stand, is over the course of the last month or more, I've heard from a lot of people, some of them employees, some parents, and some students. I've taken the time to review the results of the survey that was sent out as well. I give more, no offense to our teachers union, but I give more credence to the survey that was sent out by Dr. Andre because of the controls that I know that were in place when it went out. But even with all of that, there really isn't anything that comes out conclusive. Opinions can go either way, depending on the group or the fraction of the group that you're listening to. And all of that being said, and this may echo a lot of what Mr. O'Dell said, in this district, and most notably under Mario's leadership, we've prided ourselves on being innovative, being creative, and being a leader in education. We've instituted new programs, new structures, and new ideas. And when doing so, we've committed to give time to allow these innovations to develop and settle in before we evaluate these initiatives to determine if they're beneficial or not. We've done this many times over the last few years. When we hire or we promote an employee, we are reminded by our superintendent that before we judge that employee's performance, we need to allow that employee time so that others can become used to that new individual or the changes that they will implement. We have to allow time before we get a true read on the outcome of whether that employee is a good fit or a bad fit. To me, this issue is very much the same thing. The school committee received information a number of years ago, and we finally put it into play last year, that moving the vacation week from April to March would be educationally beneficial to the students in our district. It's something that we had spoken about for many years before, back when we originally eliminated the February break. There was information given to this school committee that indicated it would be educationally benefit to move the break in the middle of the Christmas or winter holiday and the end of school year. It would be better for the kids educationally, and that information was provided to us on more than one occasion. This information was an opinion that was given by our educational leaders. It wasn't something that we made up on our own. It wasn't done simply because we took a calendar and threw it up the stairs to see where it fell. We followed our educational leader, our superintendent. We followed that advice on numerous occasions over the last few years. And when we made this decision, we made the decision that we would run this for a few years before we could determine whether it was better or worse than the previous calendar. At this point, and I think this is where Mr. Odell was going, at this point we've only run this calendar for a year, and that year has not yet been over. In keeping in mind the vision and the practices that we have done, and that we have committed to as educational leaders in the state, I think we need to give this issue its due chance to succeed or fail as well. And I don't think that we've given it ample time yet. So I have no issue with the March calendar as it's set up and presented to us, and the breaks that it provides in the second half of next year's school year. So that's my view, as long-winded as it can be, and I apologize for that time. Now, having said that, I heard you much. Can we vote? There's a motion on the floor to approve the calendar with a March break as presented by the superintendent. I guess I should do a show of hands to see who's in favor. Please do so by raising your hand. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it on a 5-4 vote. The calendar passes with a March break. Thank you, everyone, for your input, for your time, and the energy you put into any of the surveys or the responses or anything else that you've done in speaking with people. It really is listened to, and it is appreciated. Thank you. Now, moving on to the next agenda item of the school committee reports and initiatives. Budget facilities, Mr. McBride. The budget facilities report. That's where we are.
Well, we're still working on our monies and where we are. We're getting new information on contracts for next year, so it's still a work in progress. We just agreed tonight to put some new playground equipment at Rockwell. Rockwell received a grant, and the playground equipment will be purchased that way. I thank the committee for passing the technology program. I'm sorry that we couldn't afford all of the things that we needed, but I'm sure over the next couple of years we'll get there. Our next meeting is the third Monday in March, and there's May. I guess I had March on my mind today, so I'm sorry about that. May, I don't have anything pressing to report right now.
Thank you. Policy curriculum.
The next Policy and Curriculum Subcommittee meeting is Monday, May 7th at 6 p.m. at the Oliver Administration Building on State Street in Bristol. All are welcome. Among other things, I'm sure we will be continuing work on our emergency closings policy, which we're currently reworking and updating. And we're also working on a policy, on a communication piece for a policy on how we will notify parents of potential threats to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the personnel contract negotiations, and while I chair that committee, the only ongoing thing is negotiations with Council 94. So, March, I'd ask that you give an update.
Negotiations are going just great, and it's a wonderful thing to work with the members of Council 94. We have another negotiation tomorrow night. I'm sorry that Mr. Ramos can't be there, but he's given us some very good ideas, which we will, which are on paper and memorialized. And tomorrow night should be a good one. So happy anniversary to the Ramuses, and we'll come back to you when we've got it finalized. Thanks.
Thank you, March. Wellness Committee, Adam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wellness Committee's next meeting will be on Tuesday, June 5th at 4 p.m. in the Oliver Administration Building. And our meeting in June is going to be in the style of a workshop to develop some strategies and goals for the Wellness Committee for the next school year. It'll be our last meeting. We won't have a meeting in July or August. I would encourage anybody who is interested in wellness and health initiatives in our school district to come and participate. We have official members, but everybody is welcome to help us develop activities and policies that contribute to the health and wellness of the students, teachers, administration, and community at large. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question? Is the school still doing that ASIC, all stand and in motion or something? Do you have a date for that? That's where the kids get out and
We are still doing it. I think it's in May. I don't have the date off the top of my head.
could you send an email out when when that date is found to the rest of us? Because I always go to Gutierrez and try to do it. Not being on the committee, it's kind of fun to answer all the kids in the park.
Absolutely. Be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Just the whole wellness thing, I can really see a change in the young people. It's an effort put out there that's really getting results. Just as an example, when I go to church on Sunday morning, we have snack time. I can get a lot more brownies and chocolate chip cookies now. Because the kids are getting the carrot sticks and the grapes, and they don't even have stuff along. So I thank you very much.
Yeah, we're doing that just for you, Bill. Make sure that you can get more sweets.
Thank you. Last